The city never really slept. It just dimmed the lights and whispered a little quieter. Out there, in the narrow streets between the steel towers, you could smell the electricity in the air. Or maybe that was just me, wired on adrenaline and insomnia. Tonight was one of those nights where something had to go. A little weight off my shoulders, a little poison out of my bloodstream. I slid the pill across the counter with my fingertip, watched it disappear into someone else's palm. I wasn't here to numb out. Numb was my natural state these days. If we're being real, I hadn't felt much of anything in years. The problem was, I moved too fast for my own good, always jumping the gun, never waiting for the dust to settle. Sometimes I told myself it was for fun, like it was a game, but deep down I knew the truth. It was the only way I knew how to stay alive. There were people in my orbit who pretended they were built for this life. They dressed the part, talked the part, carried themselves like they were one of us. But I could smell a fraud before they even spoke. They could never walk through the doors of the building we ran. Hell, they wouldn't even find it. And even if they did, the building would spit them right back out. We didn't mix with outsiders. Not at all. If you weren't us, you were nobody. I let the calls go to voicemail. Not because I was busy, because I didn't like them, didn't trust them, didn't need them. The truth, part of me enjoyed imagining them failing, watching them trip on the same cracks I'd learned to step over. I kept chasing highs I knew I'd never catch again. Once you hit a certain peak, the rest of the ride is downhill. That's the part no one tells you. After the best high of your life, all you're left with are worse versions of it. The lows become your only home. Still, I kept my eyes open, always open. Not just in front, behind, above, in the corners people forgot existed. I knew where you'd go before you even took the first step. Cutting ties was second nature now. A handshake one minute, a closed door the next. People dropped like flies around me, and I never flinched. I'd cut you in the middle of a sentence if I needed to. Cut so clean it was like slicing lace. Nothing I did could be replaced. And maybe that's why I felt like I was living out in space, floating alone where no one could reach me. In this game, it was always about levels. The more money I touched, the higher I went. New planes, new heights, new rooms with no windows. I kept climbing, and the air kept getting thinner. If you wanted to dig your own grave deeper, I'd even hand you the shovel. Not out of malice, just because it wasn't my problem. I wasn't in this to change. Change was for people who had something to prove. Me, I stayed the same, and made the world bend toward me instead. But if I'm being honest, I don't even know how to feel anymore. I've been overseas, tasting air in places most of you will only see on postcards, while some of you have been crawling on your knees, begging for crumbs. Nothing left to see, nothing left to feel, and still, you show up in the field like you belong there, like you're real. Who the hell are you? That's the only question in my head most days. I keep my distance because I've got better things to do than argue with people who think they know better. I don't waste time. Time is the one thing you can get back. I keep space between me and everyone else. There are still a few things I can feel, but my face, I haven't felt that in a long time. There are things I wish I could replace, moments I trade almost anything to have back, but that is not how this works. Maybe it's a sickness, maybe it's just who I am. Selfish to the bone, built from the inside out to protect only myself. Sometimes people tell me, never forget this, and I nod, but I forget anyway. Names, faces, places, gone. I don't even remember where I set my drink half the time. I change everything around me without even knowing if I can top the last move. But that's the point. You don't stop. You don't slow down. You keep your eyes open, cut the ties when you need to, climb higher than anyone thinks is possible. Even if you feel nothing, even if you're alone, even if the only thing you can count on is that you'll never stop moving. And so, I keep going. The building stays ours. The city keeps whispering, and I keep chasing something I'll never catch.